do you think you need a microphone?
It works or not?
It works.
Because you're also live streaming. We're also live streaming, so maybe the sound is better than for all the people who watch online. So we're streaming this live on the ATM, Facebook, YouTube, and X.
I will stop shouting then. Okay, so Kris, this must be a little exciting for you to be coming back to Singapore. When was the last time you were here for an ATM event?
That was 6 years ago, so it's a long time ago indeed. There was a race called King of the Trails, if I'm not mistaken. There was a series here in Singapore, relatively short distance, 30 kilometers I believe. But we had Alessandro Sherpa here and Salva Ramba, so we had two very good runners. I think also Tomohiro Mitsukoshi even. But yeah, it's been a long time coming. I'm very happy to be back here in Singapore because there's a fantastic trail running community here that has only been growing and growing, especially also since COVID. And I see all you guys everywhere in Asia all the time. So it's great that we finally can also be here at your home.
It's great that we can find enough trail to qualify as an Asia Trail Master event, right?
That is always a challenge indeed, yeah.
So, you have done more than one ATM event. Oh, not that many. For how many of you will this be your first ATM event? You know what? Oh, great. So maybe Kris, you can tell us a little more about how Asia Trail Masters started?
Yeah, well, it started basically 10 years ago. So on the 1st of July 2014, I launched the website. So it's almost exactly 10 years ago. We are now in season 9. We had, of course, a season that was cancelled during COVID. And we're very happy that we're still here because, as you know as well, Jeri, we started very modestly in 2015 with the first season. And you were a contributor to that because you gave me a lot of tips at the time for event organizers who would be interested in joining a series, an international series in Asia. So thank you again for that. As you can see, we're still here, so it's fantastic. But yeah, I mean, we started very modestly and it has grown significantly, I can say. And in the meantime, yeah, if you just look at our list of champions every year, so that's a very impressive list, I can say, for the top performance here in Asia. But also what I've noticed is that you know, all the, let's say, non-performant runners or the people who are just running for fun to finish the races, they're also increasing year after year because they're focused on the Grandmaster Quest. That's our individual challenge. That means you have to finish 6 races of 70 kilometers or more, so 6 ultras, and then you become a Grandmaster.
You have a time limit to finish these 6 races?
Yes, 6 races, 6 ultras, and that you need to do in 2 years, so within 2 ATM seasons. And then you get a Grandmaster title with 1 star, but you can also get 2 stars, 3 stars, 4 stars. Then there's no longer a time requirement. So the time requirement is only for the first star, so it's 2 years. And yeah, now we are season 9 and there's 2 4-star Grandmasters. They're both from Japan, Masafumi Yamamoto and Hisashi Kitamura. And that says it already a lot. Hisashi is a very competitive runner, but Masafumi is not. So he's just like a finisher, but he's also a 4-star Grandmaster. So you see, Asia Trail Master has these 2 sides.
So that's very exciting. And so, you know, you don't have to go to an event thinking, I have to do really well to be a Grandmaster. You just have to be able to finish the course. And within the time frame, which I think is entirely doable for a lot of people.
It is doable for sure, but still, I mean, most of the people who achieve the Grandmaster title, they had 1 DNF on the way. So it's not that easy apparently. And of course, it also depends a bit where you live. I mean, if you're in Singapore, it's relatively easy to travel, but if you're in Vietnam, if you're in Thailand, it's a bit more difficult sometimes to get races close by. So, yeah.
So, Kris, from the beginning of Asia Trail Master till now, almost 10 years, or it is 10 years, how many races do you have in the Asia Trail Master series now?
Well, we try to have about 30 events per season. So that's kind of the maximum that I'm aiming for. We used to have 40, but I thought that was way too many, so I reduced that to 30. And there's also a quota per country, so there's maximum 5 in a big country like Philippines, Indonesia, Malaysia, and then these 5 races, they also have to be distributed, across the country, so they cannot all be in, let's say, Peninsular Malaysia, or they cannot all be in Luzon, or all in Mindanao, or all in Java. So they have to be across the country. That's also important, because we want to give runners from everywhere a chance to be part of the ATM community, because ATM is also a community project, actually. So I mean, a lot of people here from various nationalities have become friends over these past 10 years because they meet each other, today in Singapore, next week in Malaysia, then it's in Indonesia, and a lot of friendships have been born in that way.
Great. So where is the most exotic location that you've got an ATM race at the moment?
How do you define exotic?
Far-flung, maybe difficult to get to, or unusual, not many people race there?
Well, we have one very interesting new event coming up in Laos, in Longo. That's in October. That's going to be new on the calendar of season 10. And a race that actually I can also really recommend is Malnat Ultra in India. That's also not so common destination yet, India. So the scene in India has also been growing a lot, and Malnat Ultra is the biggest event in India. They have a maximum quota of 1,000 runners, but they fill that up easily. There's a 100 kilometers and a 50 kilometers, and also 30 kilometers. It's the end of November, and it's close to Bangalore as they call it now, in Karnataka province or state.
And do you have a favorite event? Singapore, right?
Well, actually, I mean, if I would choose myself to run, I would probably run this one. I ran two races before in Singapore, as you know, we were race director. So I'm more of a runner than a trail runner myself. So for me, Singapore courses are great. I'm not very technical at running.
Okay. And is there any advice that you would like to give our runners for tomorrow?
Pace yourself, because it's 50 kilometers, it's still a long way, it's more than a marathon, and if you're in Singapore, it's going to be very hot and humid, and it's a daytime race, so we're not running at night, so it will be hot. So definitely take it easy in the beginning, especially if it's your first time, and see you at the finish line.
Well, I hope you guys are all really excited about the event. What we're going to do now is we're going to bring up a very special guest. Maybe I'll let Kris introduce him.
Well, we have a few guests that we will call, but we start with our reigning Asian Trail Master champion, the champion from last year, Jeri Onifa from the Philippines. Good to see you again. So Jeri Onifa is the Asian Trail Master champion. That's because he won the championship final last December in Indonesia, 6 Rogo Lau Ultra. John, I think that was also, at least from what I've seen of you, your best performance ever in a trail race. You beat Christian Jurgensen, Alessandro Sherpa, Hisashi Kitamura, and Jeff Campbell, who will also be running tomorrow, by more than an hour, over 78 kilometers. So that was amazing. How do you look back on that race yourself now? When you think about that race in December, what comes to mind? 6 Rogo Lau.
The it's the beautiful mountain there, and then very excited to run with the elite, the Christian, Alessandro.
But do you also feel it was your best race ever?
I think so.
Because I don't think there have been many races where you distanced, for example, Christian Jurgensen by more than 1 hour. Anyway, John, how are you doing? So I think you raced also last week. Yeah. You won?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah. So you're unbeaten also in Asian Trail Master already for more than a year now. I think you have 14 races that you won. So he's also a record holder in our series. So nobody has won more races than Jeri Onifa. What is your goal for this year? So you will also be coming to TMBT to defend your title?
Yeah, I will come to defend my title there.
Are you going to Europe this summer?
Yeah, the August. I will join the OCC.
OCC at the UTMB. What is your goal there?
My goal is I'll finish sub 5.
Sub 5. And what about tomorrow?
Maybe I will try my best sub 4.
Sub 4. Mind you, Jeri Onifa has become a little bit like Muhammad Ali in the past. He has a tendency to predict his running times, his finishing times in races, and usually he's spot on. So we're looking forward. Sub 4, you say, Jeri, so we hold you to account tomorrow. Jeri, maybe you have a question still for Jeri.
John, so racing in Singapore tomorrow, how prepared do you feel?
I think I'm so excited because this is my first time to come here, to join in here, and then to meet my new friends again.
Okay. Anyone that you're racing with tomorrow that you feel like you need to keep an eye on? From behind?
I think it's for fun to run in Jeff.
With Jeff Campbell? Okay. So I think Jeff is quite speedy as well, but let's see if you use the eyes in the back of your head to look at him.
One final question. Are you afraid of Hauha for tomorrow?
Maybe.
First time you will race against her, right?
Yeah, first time.
Okay. Hauha is the 2022 Asia Grandmaster champion, and she will be running tomorrow. Unfortunately, she's not here tonight because she's already preparing. And yeah, she has a tendency to win races overall. So it will be interesting to see how Jeri fares against her tomorrow.
Great. So would you like to say anything to the audience at the moment, John?
Hi everyone. Nice to meet you. Yeah, thank you so much for coming here, and also thank you so much for the organizer for inviting me. And then, good luck tomorrow, and then see you in the finish line.
Well, John, thank you so much for coming up and having a chat with us. We're going to let Kris go at the moment, and we're going to bring up some other special guests, if that's okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
For those who are standing, we have chairs in the front, like you say, don't be scared. But first, we'd like to bring up one of the races for tomorrow that you want to keep an eye on, and he's also the international sales manager for T8. If you don't already know the brand T8, you should, and it's Mr. David Longo. Hi, David.
Hi, Derek.
Always good to see you. I'm going to bring up a couple more people. So we've got Deric Lau at the back here. Local Singapore representative. Well, you guys, we're going to all sit up here, if that's okay, and I'm going to bring this chair up. You guys can sit down. Deric has, amongst other things, done extremely well in backyard events and has been racing quite a lot. And you're an ATM 2023 qualifier also, is that right?
Yeah. I actually finished Grandmaster Quest as well. I'll talk a bit more about that later.
Oh, excellent. And we'd also like to bring up Manilyn. Are you here? Manilyn, would you come up and join us up here? And so, Manilyn, if you have a look at the cap that Manilyn's got, would you maybe tell us a little bit more about your cap?
Hi, good afternoon. This cup, you can have this cup if you finish a 6 quest. It's called a Grandmaster Quest. Then you have this cup from Asia Tollmaster.
So what Kris was saying, what Kris was saying earlier, if you finish 6 races of 70 kilometers or more within a 2-year span, you will become a Grandmaster. And are you a one-star Grandmaster at
Yes,
the moment?
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Have we got any other Grandmasters here? Yep, we'll talk about Deric very shortly. Anyone else? No? And let's bring up one of our other ladies. We've got Joy Sim at the back. Come take a seat here. So Joy is another representative from Singapore. Welcome. How do you feel about being here for a local race at last? Yeah, so how do you feel about racing UTSG tomorrow?
I'm not racing.
Oh, you're not racing?
I'm so sorry.
No, no worries. That's my mistake. My
Actually,
apologies.
Joy is the reigning or the leading lady within the Singapore point system.
Yes, that's right.
So
She is
she's
the.
likely to go to the finals in September.
Are you looking forward to that?
I'm still thinking whether should I go for the race because I have a Dragon Back event the weeks before. So I'm still thinking about that.
Oh, you have to represent Singapore.
We're all counting on you.
There's still other female runners I think might be going.
There are.
There are a total of 5 of them. So there are still 4 more.
What we're gonna do is just maybe do a little question and answer session with the 4 of you. I would actually, we actually do have one more to bring up, and that's Mr. Chris Timms. So, let me just give you a little bit of background about all 5, sorry, I can't count, of our incredible guests up here at the moment. So, starting from the far right, Manilyn, I beg your pardon, is an Asia Trailmaster Grandmaster, as we said. Former race winner of Mount Apple Sky Race, is that right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. And I do remember hearing that you were not a runner previously. You used to do some other sporting event. Would you tell us what that was?
We are organizing an event, a local event in our city.
Okay, so you're organizing an event in your local city.
Yes, yes.
And what would that be?
It's called Iho Ikoran.
Hang on a minute. Let's check your. I think I got it. Hello. I didn't touch anything. I promise I didn't touch anything. It's usually me. All right, so Manilyn, sorry,
Yes.
you're telling us that you're organizing a local event
Yes, in our country, in Philippines.
in the Philippines.
Yes.
And what? Tell us a little more about this event. Is it a road race, a trail race?
It's both a road and trail.
Okay.
It's at 25 p.m. and 12 p.m. It's for the beginners.
Great.
Yeah.
And when will this be?
It's done already.
Okay.
Last week, last Sunday.
And was it a? Did you have a lot of people sign up?
Yeah, that's more than 300 runners.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on the inaugural event.
Thank you.
I did want to ask also, you've done the Mount Apple Sky Race and the Punisher, and currently you're 5th in the Philippines Asia Trailmaster rankings. Is that still correct? Current? Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
I see Chris nodding at me. I did want to ask, you used to do a different sport before, is that right?
Yes, I do biking, running, and I do swim also.
All at the same time, triathlon?
Not a triathlon. I most like a duathlon, swim and a run bike.
Like a duathlon?
Yes, duathlon.
Okay, great.
That was before.
Do you miss the bike and swim?
Yes.
Okay. Great. We're going to just have a little chat with Kris now.
Thank you.
Kris Timms is like an energizer bunny, if you know him. He's non-stop, he's everywhere,
Kris.
he's usually in 7 different places at the same time. But what we did also want to say is you were a qualifier in 2022 for the Team Asia Expat, Team Asia Expat for the, and finished 9th in that year's finals, is that right? So this season, you've been racing a lot. From my notes, I can see you managed a 4th place in the latest Tioman 50, which is, would that be one of your best race results for the season so far?
The first 10K was, as Kris will probably testify. Yeah, it was a fun race, that one actually. I ran with Hao Ha. I had the pleasure of running with Hao Ha for the first 10K and realised the sheer power of Hao Ha on the ascent as soon as you got on the trail. But I have raced a lot this season, but that was my only other ATM race. This is my second, so I'm hoping with a good result tomorrow I can qualify for the finals again. Apo was amazing for anybody that was there. David, I remember that. One of my favourite all-time races, that one actually. Yeah.
How do you find the time to do everything that you're doing? If you guys don't already know, Kris has a very, very demanding full-time job. He's also got 3 children who have these incredible extracurricular activity schedule. And he seems to be also the wildlife nature guide of Singapore. If you look at his Instagram or Facebook, he's got incredible close-up pictures of snakes and colugos and all sorts of things. How on earth do you squeeze it all in?
Yeah, I just don't sleep a lot, I think. I'm guilty of, I'm a serial racer. I think my weakness is the lack of training. I think my racing is my training, so I keep myself accountable by signing up for many races because then I kind of have to train. They're my sort of high-end training. But yeah, my friend said the other day, he said, I know why you see so many snakes. I said, why? He said, you're closer to the ground than everybody else, so I have an advantage there. But yeah, thanks, Jeri. I do a lot. I try and squeeze in as much as I can in the time that I have. But yeah, I wish I could train more, but there we go.
No worries. It's always an absolute joy to see you racing and smiling all the time. Thanks, Kris. And so next to Kris, we have Deric. Deric, you qualified for Team Singapore last year, right? And you're about to tell us about your Grandmaster quest.
Yeah. I really started as a road runner right before COVID happened. Right, I got a bit more serious into marathon running, and I think 2019 I did about 3.5 hours in Singapore. Then I thought I'll be very serious about it, training for maybe a sub-3 marathon. So I just decided to do that. But when COVID hit, I think, and you guys can remember, the government didn't allow any travel, right? So forget about overseas races. You could only run around Singapore, and the trails became very accessible. Right? And in 2021, that's my first foray into actually ultra distance running. Our actual Blazers club actually started this race called Hong Kong Singapore Twin City Ultra Run, and within 21 days you can do as many loops as you can. I decided I would try about 5 loops every day. In the end, I did about 129 loops in the 21 days, and I really love trail running after that. But long story short, my very first foray into ATM was in 2022, actually, July. Very first race in Kautra. The winner was Hitashi Kitamunra, very fast. I came in overall 6th, I believe, and second veteran, and that got me hooked. And then the next race was Ultra Trail Chiang Mai in August. I was 2nd overall, behind Yuta Matsuyama. And then I did TMBT and that started all going downhill. I was, I think, second male veteran. Overall was maybe 8 or 9. That was TMPT in September. Then I did Backyard Ultra in October, UTSG 100, took a break. And the fourth one, ATM, was MMTF 100 as well. Then I went to Donington in December and then got really tired, totally crashed. Took a long break, March 2023, Dallas Ultra, 5th. And then I completed my ATM Grandmaster, 1 star in May. What race was that? Anybody remember?
Was it this
Kris,
May?
help us out.
Last year.
Last year.
Oh, Sierra Madre.
Sierra
Very
Madre.
first race. It was organized in Philippines, my very first time racing there. And that was a fantastic race. I think Jeff Campbell won that race by quite a distance. Right? Yeah. So I think, sorry for taking so much time, but I think for me, why everybody should do Asia Trail Master, I bring it down to 3. Okay, firstly, all the races that Kris curate for ATM are among the best, right? Good organizers, very good turnout. So you're always going to meet the same people, who are racing the circuit. You get a lot of competition. Secondly, I think I made some of the best friends, some of the competitors out there in the circuit as well. So I think that's the second. And then the third, I think Kris started this country competition in 2022. Okay, and I think that's great because that's the first time you can, for me to represent the country. So it was so joy you have to go. So it's no pressure, no pressure. But it's totally different when you have to put on that shirt and try and race for the country. So fantastic experience. I really encourage everybody to look at ATM races.
Thanks for that. And next is David Longo. So David, not only are you a racer, but you're involved with one of our favorite brands in trail running. Would you maybe tell us a little bit more about the brand that you're involved with and how you mix racing in ATM with the brand experience?
Yeah, sure. It's a bit of a long story. I guess the best way to talk about would be to talk about how I actually got started with T8 in the first place. So I'm originally from Australia, but I travel back and forth to Hong Kong quite a bit. Well, originally, I live in Hong Kong now, but before I used to travel back and forth quite a bit because my family was there, and also the trail running there is really amazing. And then just before COVID, around, so it was end of 2018, I wanted to come back to Hong Kong, but I didn't really have a job or anything. But I knew John Ellis and Mark Green, who are the founders of T8. And this was the very early stages of T8. Maybe they've been going not even 2 years, or maybe a couple of years at that point. And yeah, I know John, and I think we just finished Oxfam Trail Walker, November 2018, I think it was, a very well-known historical race in Hong Kong. And yeah, John was like, well, you obviously love trail running, you're looking to come back to Hong Kong, why don't you come work for us? So yeah, I was already very much into trail running, and then I got this amazing opportunity to work with some like-minded mates, basically, who were solving the big problems, basically around chafing. And this is a very big problem we all face in trail running, especially in the hot, humid conditions of Southeast Asia. So T8, initially, was to solve the problem of chafing, and our core product, even to this day, is still the Commando's underwear. And so that's how I got involved with T8 initially. And as far as my background for trail running, my very first event was almost exactly 10 years ago, actually, at what was then the North Face 100 in Australia, which has now become Ultra Trail Australia. And then my first ATM race was the Vietnam Jungle Marathon, 70K. Actually, no, my bad. It was the Nine Dragons 50-50 event in Hong Kong in 2018. And since then, except for COVID, of course, I've been involved in the racing and also very proud to be one of the main sponsors of the series as well through T8. So I think it's a wonderful series, not just for developing the sport in Southeast Asia, but like Deric, I've met lots of wonderful people and you're seeing them every weekend, racing them every weekend, and the series really does take you to some beautiful places in Asia. So I highly recommend it. Yeah. Sorry, that was a bit of a long story.
No worries. Where David's, been so great in being an ambassador for T8 in particular, and the fact that he's racing as well is awesome. We love seeing you in Singapore. This is not the first time, obviously, and we hope it's not the last. Thank you very much.
I can vouch for T8 commandos. I mean, that's one year that I will not miss when I'm racing. Totally.
Yeah, we recommend you run commando. And so next is Joy. So Joy, currently you're the female leader in the Singapore Asia Trailmaster ranking, and your best result this season, would you tell us what that has been? Do you know what it is? In May?
I think it's because of the two races that I ran, the Lantau 70 and the Kufong, is it?
Silabro, yeah. And so your best ranking of the races you've done this season would be your third place in Silabro. Is that right? How did you do in Lantau?
In Lantau, I think I did overall 9 female and maybe first in Singapore.
Yeah. Okay, and in Silabro you were third
in the female.
Third place,
Yes.
And that was in the Silabro Cave Trail in Sarawak in early May.
Yeah, correct.
So now that I've got my facts straight and I know that you're not racing the local race, what's the next Asia Trailmaster you've got lined up?
Actually, I have no plan. Because I'm quite young, so I might join last minute. Like maybe I think there's one in the upcoming end of July, so I'm still thinking whether to go and maybe end of the year because there's still a few slots that I might go if my schedule allows me to.
Okay, are you really busy with work?
I'm more flexible in work, so I can just fly. As long as I bring my phone with me, I'm considered as working as well.
Okay, can we ask what you do for work?
I'm working in the construction building company, so you want to build any houses, renovation, you have to call me. And also beauty products.
So construction and beauty products?
It's no link.
What beauty products specifically?
In stem cell products.
Oh, so actually she's 85, but looks like I'm kidding. How old are you, Joy?
31, 32 this year.
I like how she thinks about it a little bit. Okay. No, you're looking great, of course. Absolutely. And you really do have to think about representing Singapore, okay? So for those of you who don't know, any Asia Trailmaster race that you do will contribute to a ranking that you get. And like I think Deric said, it started in was it Deric or was it Kris?
2022.
Yeah, started in 2022. There are country rankings, and so regardless of which country you're from or any country, you can then contribute to being part of your country team when you take part in any Asia Trailmaster race in the series. And so it's obviously a great honor to represent your country. Kris, just remind us how many people in a team would represent a country. So we've got 5.
5 men, 5 women.
Yeah, 5 men and 5 women from each country. And so, it's not a big number, And ideally, I would imagine that's quite exciting as well, because it's almost like a mini Olympics, right? You turn up, you're all in your country colors, and you're racing as a team and individually, which is kind of adds a little element to it.
The problem is I have to race in early September. It's a 6-day event, so I might get injured during that race. So in my, I cannot confirm right now whether I should go for the race. I don't know.
No pressure. Yeah. Okay. But actually, no pressure. There's, I'm sure we've got, quite a good team of men and women for Singapore. But we know you're a fast runner. We know you're a good racer, and if you can, we'd love to see you. Okay. So now we're going to, it's not just these people in front, but all of you sat in the audience here today. We're really looking forward to you guys participating and enjoying the race that we have in Singapore, and of course the whole Asia Trail Masters Series. Now, are there any questions here for anyone in the panel that you see up here? Would you like to ask them anything about their personal races, or would you like any tips from them? Anything we can ask for you?
Joy, how was Silabur?
Joy, how was Silabur?
I went last year. I remember that it was very pretty cave. So this year I went, right, it was very muddy, very hot. So I split for more than 5 times. And at the start, right, because it started an hour earlier, so we started at 4 a.m. So basically the marker was very dark. So apparently I got lost 6 times. So many other runners also got the same thing, but overall it was quite fun.
Any water crossing?
This year no, but last year there is. Last year the water crossing was this part. Yeah, but this year was quite fun. I just keep falling from all of them also just keep falling all the way, but very fun route.
But how the case? The case pretty?
Last year was prettier. Last year was full of light, but this year a bit dull. So it's a different vibe from last year and this year.
Is it a different case or is it different?
It's the same cave. It's the same cave, yeah. It's the same cave. You can watch my reel. I got no reel for both.
And your Instagram handle is?
Joy got 2Y and 4Y. You go interpret yourself.
Okay. Do we have any other questions?
Yes,
Anybody?
question.
Yes.
How do you prioritize your time? There's just so many good races out there in Asia, the big ones, the local ones. How do you shortlist the one you want to take part in?
Who would you like to Derek?
Any more of us can ask.
I guess, yeah, any of you guys can respond.
I just do them all. I just sign up for them all, and then I do, Chris knows this, and then I bail out of probably about 75%. That's my strategy. Derek?
Yeah. No, the other thing about, the other very great thing about ATM circuit, right, it's Chris would actually list down all the events. Right? So you know exactly what races are available throughout the whole calendar. For me, I try to space it out, so maybe not having more than one every 2 months. I try to have maybe 4 to 6 races a year. So, I try not to repeat races, although this year I'm going to Cultura again, not by some serendipity, but yeah, I try not to repeat races. So I try to look for races in the circuit, which I have not done before, and which, according to the date, doesn't clash with my work commitments.
I prefer Chris's strategy. Do them all, and then next year you'll know which ones you don't want to do again.
Best way to train.
Yes, but I have a minister of Home Affairs back at home, so I need to get right? So I have to be very strategic.
You need a domestic passport.
Yeah, I guess I'm pretty similar to Derek. Part of the reason I love Asia Trail Masters so much is I get to go to places which I've never been to before. Like, it's brought me to Vietnam, Thailand, Korea, Indonesia, Philippines. So I love travel, and it's always wonderful to race and travel in a new place. So I partly pick my schedule around that. And I also try to not race more than 4 or 5 times a year. just because I generally consider myself more of a runner than a racer. Like I really enjoy the process, and I find if I race too much, I feel like I'll burn out or I won't get as motivated. So yeah, I try to 4 or 5 races. I pick destination races. Not normally going back to the same place, but there's always a few which you always like going back to. But otherwise, different races and try and spread them out a bit so you don't burn out.
What about Manilyn? How do you pick your races?
What I love about ATM races is like you race different country, and Kris, he's the one who is the reason why I cannot leave this. ATM races, because he's the reason why I race in Merapo way back 2018, right? Yes, because I won Mount Apo Trail. So it's the reason why I still racing now an Asia Trail Master races.
Great. And could I just ask also, would any of you tell us what your favorite race has been so far from the Asia Trail Master Series? Your one race that you thought you really liked out of all the ones you've done so far?
I think the Sierra Madre for me. That's my last quest this year, because I'm almost the cutoff. Yes.
So you got your money's worth.
Yes.
Right.
I think I mentioned this earlier, but I will go Mount Apo Sky Race for the finals, and there's a bit of a funny story why. It was a bit of a rush, kind of, get into the race, and it was a bit of a busy week in work, and I hadn't really done my research. I got the GPX file and got there at midnight the night before, and we knew it was up a hill. The elevation profile was pretty steep, so we're sort of halfway up this very big hill, and it's getting really warm. It's still dark, but it's getting really warm, and I realised the ground is warm, and then you sort of smell like an eggy smell. Sulfur. Is that egg? Is that sulfur? And then as the light comes up, you realise you're on a volcano, And there was a moment where you're like, oh yeah, it is a volcano. Most big hills in Indonesia actually, and the Philippines are volcanoes. But that was a really special race because, not just because of that, but the quality of runners that you're with. When you join an ATM finals, they are the best of the best. You've got the best runners from all over Asia, and you are around them and racing with them, and you can see how amazing they are and the technique, and just incredible. And I remember meeting Hao Ha for the first time, and I can't believe that I'd kind of got so far ahead of her. Now I know who she is. And there was a point where it was the descent of the volcano, a boulder field. Lots of rocks. And Hao Ha, I was struggling coming down these rocks, and I just heard someone kind of dancing. That was all I could, she was dancing on these rocks, just skipping over them, and I just watched in amazement as she just breezed past me, and she then went on to, I think she beat us by quite a bit in the end, but that was my favourite race, and I'm gutted I missed last year's, but I'm intent on making this year's finals.
Yeah, well, I would have gone to Mount Apo, but I had a conflict with Doi, so maybe next time. For me, I think it's a toss-up between Kautra and Dalat. The reason why, because they are cold climates actually. So, Cameron Island is really nice in terms of the climate. Dalat is beautiful as well. If I have to pick between the two, maybe Kautra, okay, because the terrain is very unique. At the beginning, you have the mountains, okay, so it's a tough start. You go through tropical rainforest, all the way to the top, and then coming down again. Then you run into the plantation. So that's a very runnable part, and the weather is very cool. And then when you come back, you get slammed again with the mountain. So it's a back and forth circuit, very well organized. So I think probably Cultural.
Yeah, I think Cultural is one of my favorite ones.
Ooh, okay, I have to have to toss up between two. One, it's a race in Hong Kong, not very long, but it's called the Dark 45. It's 45k, but over about 2,500 meters of climbing, and it's my home race, and I know the course super well, and I've just always done well there. And a unique aspect is it starts at midnight, so the entire race is at night. And yeah, I think given it's on home turf and it's on the Macklehoe, one of the famous trails in Hong Kong, and I've just always performed really well there. And it finishes as you're going on the ridge line of Tai Mo Shan, which is the highest point of Hong Kong, and on a clear night, it's just absolutely stunning. And I've just been lucky to always have good results there. So, but on the flip side, I'm sort of with Kris about Mount Apo. That was, for different reasons, it was a very memorable experience, and you can never forget the boulder field going up the highest point in the Philippines, and we all had a journey we'll never forget that day. I think anyone who was there. Thanks.
For me, it might be the Selangor race that I just recently went, because actually I love tricky stuff. So actually I went 2 times already because of the cave. It looked like a jade when it light up, so I will still go next year if there is.
Okay, great to hear, and I hope that helps answer some of your questions as to which race you're going to sign up for next. Just in case you're not aware, also, the finals of the ATM team race will be in September in Borneo at TMBT, the most beautiful thing. So that's a race that I'm pretty familiar with, and you know, I would definitely recommend it as well. So even if you don't qualify, you can still sign up as an individual. Would anyone else like to ask any questions? Do you have any pressing things that you really need to know about our panel today?
By the way, I'm part of the organizing committee for tomorrow's race. So if you have any questions about the circuit or something, you know, let me know.
Oh,
yeah, I have a question for Manilyn. Since you came from Philippines, I'm also from Philippines. So what's your concern of joining for tomorrow's event? Because in Singapore, there's no elevation. So what's your concern for tomorrow?
My concern, I think, I just want to enjoy the race, since this is my first time running here in Singapore. And it's my first time also joining ATM races like championship, and the distance is like 50, not more than 80, not right? So I am like excited, yeah.
I would say for the overseas runner, right, because it's a very urban environment, right? Navigation is fairly important. There's going to be a bit of a twist and turns here and there. So, you know, make sure you have your GPX and look out for the signages, and you should be fine.
So for
I think Kris knows the circuit.
Any tips? It's fast. It's a fast course. It really is. It's runnable, and there's about 1,000. I think there's about 1,000 elevation. It's not as flat.
It's about 800.
Yeah, 800. So there's ups, but I think it's finding. There's many different paces that you will run tomorrow, and I think getting a good, consistent, average speed is key. But it's fast. The T15 is one part that can sort of swamp your speed a little. It just sucks the speed out of it a little bit. So that's a section, the kind of middle section. It's an out and back about 12k of trail, kind of loose trail. But yeah, I think the biggest tip, it's fast. You can go fast. The winners, I think John will go sub 4 tomorrow,
quite
easily. So yeah, excited.
By the way, the circuit is not really reflective of trails in Singapore. Unfortunately, the government or the national parks isn't very supportive of racing in our proper trails, right? Because yeah, not like Hong Kong. Hong Kong is fantastic. Many of the top 4 trails you can really race. Yeah, so for those overseas runners, if you have time, spend some time on Saturdays, Sundays. My club actually do bring people around the trails. So come and see the proper trails.
So, Deric, on Sunday, anybody who's still around, who's an international runner, can go and reach out to Deric. They'll take you on a special tour of the local trails.
Cool down run on Sunday, right?
Exactly. Cool down run followed by breakfast. Local
So, cool down run is 30 Ks or
Minimum.
I mean, one loop around our major trail around McRitchie Reservoir is about 10.
What's the highest point in the Philippines?
Singapore, 163 meters.
Rogatima Mountain. Rogatima Mountain. Yeah, Mount Rogatima. Pretty big.
it's 100 and almost one. It's almost 163 meters above sea level. It's not. It always feels like we're missing a zero at the end.
You get snow up there.
if you close your eyes.
And by the way, about 35% of the circuit is trail. So that starts somewhere around 20 km, slightly over 20, and all the way to 35 km. The good thing about the trails is very runnable. It's also pretty sheltered, so it's going to be the coolest part of the circuit.
Okay. And so Deric, just very quickly about about UTSG tomorrow, the race. Any other things that you quick reminder of maybe how many checkpoints and what there are at checkpoints?
Okay, there isn't designated checkpoints that you kind of have to check in, except for the halfway mark, mark 27, where your beat actually have a RFID chip, so you need to go through a RFID reader just to make sure you register for the reader. Then there is actually 8 stations at 10 km, 21, 27, and 33. Beyond 33 is where the struggle is, because that's back to the road, and there's no designated water points, so you have to find your own water point. There's going to be petrol kiosks where you can buy some water, while the community center should be open by 10, and you should be able to refill up your water.
45
And
kilometers.
yeah, 45, it's unofficial, but we're going to have some people there.
Yeah, the MO we there with 100 plus and Coke.
Yeah.
Okay, so
So it's going to be like a bonus CP for the
Yes.
runners?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. For the elites, for the overseas runner that's targeting for podium, you can have your own designated crew. So there's no rules against that. So let them know they can position themselves after 33 and we sub you if you need to.
okay, and for those of you who are thinking, I have 17 Ks left to go, and I probably don't need a checkpoint. This is Singapore, and it's hot, and you're probably going to need some more water along the way. However, we do have the advantage of having very potable water, so you can, just about any tap you can drink out of. So you don't have to worry about water not making you feel ill or anything. But it's very important to keep hydrating, because that last bit could make or break your event.
So tap water in Singapore, drinkable?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, the rest of Southeast Asia should get on that.
Okay, actually I was going to give a briefing, to the overseas runners, right? But I've covered a bit of it, but maybe a bit more, right? So 20 to 35, you expect proper trails, very runnable trails. 37 to 40 actually is a rolling grass field. Okay, so don't be surprised suddenly you get back onto some kind of a trail-like route. Okay, so for there it's what we call the pipeline. So for those of you who don't know, actually we get most of our water from Malaysia. So there's a pipe going from the north of the country all the way to the south. So we're going to run part of that 37 to 40 km, and it's grassland. There's going to be a total of 8 bridges. So that's our hill. So do use those, because we want to avoid having you to cross the roads, right, for safety.
So just to clarify, what you mean by hills/bridges are overhead bridges. That means that it's a road crossing, and you will have to go upstairs, across, and then downstairs again, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
And
Thanks for clarifying.
And there'll be marshals there to
Some of them will have marshals, but there will be definitely signages.
So the whole route will be well signed or
Okay.
well marked?
GPX.
Okay,
And-
so very good point. We have been told not to put up too many signs by the authorities. So the rule is, as long as there's no signages, right, there's only going to be one way, which is forward. As long as there's going to be a junction, that's where you're going to see a sign. And the sign is going to be ahead of the turning to warn you, right? So I think for most of you who have done trail races before, usually you'll look for markings on the tree, ribbons and stuff like that. That's not going to happen because we can't do any of that. You will get warnings when you're about to turn, about maybe 10 meters ahead of the turning. So look out for those signages. They're going to be mostly in yellow with a black sign or white with red.
And if anyone needs to download the GPX file last minute tonight, where can they find that?
It is on our website, right? So just Google UTSG 50. If not, look for me, WhatsApp me. Should be fine.
Also, they should have received an email.
Yes.
Yes,
All
email.
participants would have received an email. So the link is there. There's also going to be 4 road crossings, okay, of which the first, it's probably unavoidable, meaning you have to wait for it to turn green before you can cross because it's a major road. The other 3, we will advise you to wait for the green man as well, but it's not a busy junction. So if you don't see any cars, just go for it.
Jaywalking, yeah?
Yeah. But don't tell
It's on film. Chris has got that on film.
We're not condoning it.
Yeah, we're not
okay?
condoning it.
And don't forget, Singapore is a fine city.
Yeah. No, but safety is number
Yeah.
one, right? I mean, all of us are not really, full-time runners or pro runners, so think of our family, right? Don't get into trouble. Okay. In the trails, okay, the section we're going to run is shared with bicycles. Okay, so please try to keep on the left. In Singapore, we go drive on the left side of the road. So when you're running or walking, keep to the left side of the road. So try to keep left as much as possible. Okay, and if you see a cyclist, just shout bike. They will usually hear you and they will give way. Okay. And then I think that's it. At the end, we just want you to upload your entry to Strava, okay, so that the race director can make sure you complete the full 52 km.
At the finish, or can we
have
to get on?
Well, you have within an hour to do it, especially for the podium winners, because there's no checkpoints where you clock in, right? You just want to make sure it's a bit fair. By the way, I think for the front runners, Kris will probably be on a motorbike, so there's someone like you who's going to vouch that you have done it.
Bit of an honor system.
Yeah, a bit of an honor system.
Okay, great. All right, well, thank you very much, all our guests. I'm sure, it's getting on. We've got an early race tomorrow. I hope that everyone's excited, prepared, and rested. And I think we have some refreshments available. Is that right?
Down there we got bihun, chickpeas and peanuts.
Okay, so we do have some food and refreshments over there. And I would invite everyone to mingle and have a little chat in person if you haven't had a chance to ask your questions. So thank you all very, very much. And thank you to all our guests as well. And we're going to take a group photo.
Yeah, I might have a bit of time to upload the show.
Oh, no,